For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Had somebody that was helping write, because writing's not really my thing.
Sure.
It never has been, but so I hired somebody that was helping me doing a lot of the writing and the reviews and all that stuff. And then she got a real job and couldn't afford, or she had to take that job and didn't have time to help me out because, yeah, I was paying her, but it wasn't enough to compete with somebody with an actual budget and, all that stuff.
Gotcha.
And so that just kind of fell off, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I could find a way to pull this off myself. And you kind of came in at that right time where it was like, we're doing this, and then it just kind of became this headache because, it was becoming a lot, so it kind of fell by the wayside again.
I feel that. I was reached out to by a music blog to start writing articles, and which I'd love to do because there's a lot of bands, especially in the Philly scene, I'd love to support and promote, but I was just like, oh my god, I don't know if I actually have time. Because to answer your question, everything's going well.
Mm-hmm.
Very busy right now. Currently active with 5 different projects, including my solo and 2 iterations. So it's just my head's spinning.
Hey, it's a good thing though. Staying busy is always good.
Oh, it's wonderful. Anytime I get a little overwhelmed, I just think back to late March, early April 2020, where it's this is what I've been waiting for. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. So, but yeah, we're just gonna kind of keep chatting here, and I'll do a little brief intro. Welcome everybody to the Live and Amplified Livecast. I'm your host Tom Quiet, and we have a returning guest. He was a guest it was a little more than a year ago. It was during our pancreatic cancer fundraiser. We have Jay Johnson, and really excited to have him back on. He just released a new album. Because I know that we've been talking for a good minute here about trying to get you on. I couldn't get it on my schedule, then you couldn't get it on your schedule, and then finally, I think it was yesterday, a couple days ago, I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make this work. I've got time on Friday or Thursday. Let's do it. So, but excited
to do things.
Yeah, right. And that was kind of the whole idea of me taking back over the power of my podcast, because it was especially back when you came on for the pancreatic fundraiser, it was just kind of here's my available dates. Whoever wants to take them. And that was cool because I got to meet a lot of new, interesting musicians. But it was also, I got to meet a lot of musicians that probably weren't ready for a podcast, or, so it was just kind of one of those things where it was I gave up control, met a lot of cool people, but I gave up too much control, so I need to take that control back. So, yeah.
Sure.
That's kind of where we're at. But
well, I wasn't one of those.
Oh, no. Obviously not. We had you back. So
we'll be back.
Yeah. So really excited. You're based out of Philly, if I remember correctly. Kind of refresh people, since it's been almost a year, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So again, kind of Philly based. Since we last talked, I've been getting more and more involved in the Trenton and kind of the New Jersey music scene as well. But I am a multi-instrumentalist, active with a couple different bands, very 60s, 70s inspired. Guitar is my primary instrument, but on the album that I just put out, played over 20 different instruments, so that was a really nice chance to do that. Actually, since we talked last too, started playing with a couple new groups. So I'm playing bass in one band and lead guitar in another, and singing away, and playing as many instruments as I can in another. So it's really love music, really believe in just the power of community, and really want to just spread sunshine and love.
Yeah, for sure. It's always interesting because there's one of the guys that usually helps me when we're out doing like more in-depth stuff with a lot of mics and all that stuff. He's in a similar situation where he's in like 3 or 4 different bands,
Mhm.
and he's based out of Roswell, New Mexico, and
Oh,
I
really?
always tease him that he's the musical whore of Roswell, New Mexico, because every band that's ever existed, he's sat in for him or played for him for an extended period of time. And
Does he play bass?
he does. He
Well, that's
does
what
play.
happens. Yeah.
He plays bass, and then he also plays rhythm guitar.
Okay.
So it's just one of those things where it's like I always ask him, it's like, how do you keep it interesting, and how do you remember all this music? Because it's like, I imagine it's tough enough to remember like music for one band, especially if they write a lot, but then add in 2 other bands. It's like I don't know how you do it, but
But just my one new band is called Mandy Valentine, and
mm,
we on Sunday we were recording, which was great. I play bass with that band, um, so you get you or throughout the course of a recording day, just it's click track drums, bass, like just
yeah,
booming in your ears. And then I played a solo show at a club called Ortlieb's, which is a pretty nice one in Philly,
mm,
and that was with a new solo lineup that I've been kind of like dreaming about for a little while. They're like we did it as a 5 piece, so they're like 4 guys I play with at this one jam session a lot, but
mm-hmm,
got them up to speed on my tunes in like pretty much 3 days. And I had that moment where like before people were coming in and we were waiting to sound check, I was just like, oh man, I gotta switch gears completely, forget all the songs we were just working on, and think of the other ones because now it's time to sing and play a much smaller neck. And sang and played guitar for that show, but it went really well. But it was just like at one moment I was just like, guys, I just gotta like dance it out. I gotta
yeah,
like shake it out and just kind of like almost like you're getting ready for a race if you're a runner or something,
yeah,
just like get shake it out.
yeah. You got to do a mind shift almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luckily, I was just going from like country rock to like sunshine rock, so you take out a little twang and add a little bit of beach, and you're there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so we mentioned it a little bit ago, but you just dropped a new album. This is under your solo project, correct?
Yep.
What's kind of the first off? What's the name of the album? Like, what's the story behind of it and all that
Sure.
stuff?
So the album's called Four Quartets, which is a reference to T.S. Eliot. I actually played a show recently, and someone was like, "I really like the album, but I was disappointed that I didn't hear any string quartets." And I was like, it's just a series of poems. My dad was a really big T.S. Eliot fan growing up. He's one of
Hmm.
those guys who could just like recite verse off the
Yeah.
top of his head. So it's when I conceived of the album, I wanted to do partially budget wise, but partially like theme wise and just time and all that. Four song EPs that were all themed, and then they could be taken in their separate parts, or like in summation, they'd be kind of just a bigger, almost semi. I didn't want to put too much of myself in, but like a semi autobiographical story of my late
Hmm.
20s. Um, so Four Quartets was dropped the middle of July, and it was kind of like my COVID project. My good
Nice.
friend Maddie Klauser, who is the drummer in the band I was mentioning, Mandy Valentine, they drummed for this and they did all the engineering.
Nice.
We, we had met my old band, the Pool Boys. We played a festival in Ambler, Pennsylvania, which is like nearby Philly. Um, their old band, Secret Nudist Friends, still has good
Hmm.
music. I would highly recommend checking it out online. Um, their old band, Secret Nudist Friends, it was Maddie and Missy, who is also in Mandy Valentine. There's a
Hmm.
lot of ME names, Missy, Maddie, Mandy. So, um, but so I had instantly. I mean, I've been fortunate to play with so many different really talented bands around Philly, but Secret News Friends was a band where like when I saw them, I was like, oh, I want to be friends with these guys like right away. It's just like they had the vibe. they played a similar kind of music that I liked, and we really hit it off. So that was in 2019. So fast forward to the pandemic, I was starting to write the album, and I was looking around at different studios, and I knew that Maddie was looking to record some people because they run a studio and a venue, and they're just really involved in like everything you can be in the Philly scene. Um, and so I reached out. We decided to try it together, and we did it. So it was just this really fun project that, with shutdowns and life drama and people getting COVID and just all this stuff, it ended up stretching out to almost 2 years. But I ended up playing everything but the drums, which Maddie did. A mutual friend drummed on one other song, but it was just a really fun opportunity to make it through the pandemic, and because it would just be the two of us recording. So it was nice to be able to like not have to worry about bringing in a band, and at the same time, it's an interesting experience to be like the sole person behind it in a way.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
it's more fun to me to share that experience with the band because I'm into the communal aspect.
Yeah, for it. You know, Secret Nudist Friends. That's a great name for a band.
Isn't that a great? Yeah, they had major B-52s vibes.
Nice.
They had a couple different lineups, but when I had first seen them, Maddie and Missy they just had such good stage presence, and I remember just being blown away because they had a person named Deb on the bass at the time, and Deb and Missy's like just stage presence and energy was like completely different because Deb played bass and they were like super frenetic and like jumping around and just like this ball of energy, and then Missy was like super relaxed and like, and then Maddie was just like in between them, and they all like played their instruments so well, but it was just like this really cool dynamic. So I'm
Nice.
happy in that Mandy Valentine was able to come up because Secret Nudist Friends is at least on hiatus, but they were a really good group.
Yeah,
Really,
for
really
sure.
well.
So for your album, four quartets. Sorry, I was trying to close a box and it was reopening. I'm like, no, stop. For your new album, four quartets, you'd mentioned that that was a pandemic project. Does that mean all this music was written during the pandemic, or it was just recorded during the pandemic?
Mainly recorded during the pandemic. I started writing it probably about November 2019, and
Okay,
then the concept of the album as it was kind of popped up right around the pandemic. But
gotcha.
then I ended up writing "Love Song," which is the final song on the track. That was like honestly like a year-long process during the pandemic, and a couple other songs that were on the original lineup got scrapped. So some stuff was written, but
Yeah,
the "Love Song" was probably the longest thing.
yeah, I gotcha. Now, was it always when you started like writing in late 2019? Was it the intent to start working towards the album, or were you just kind of in a phase of I need to make new music, and whatever comes of it comes of it?
Yeah, it was always kind of the idea of uh, four songs, four themes. I remember I have a really good music friend who we got together right before the pandemic. It was like late February or something of 2020, and he was like, What if you do three song EPs?" He was like, "That'd probably be easier." I was like, "No, it
Yeah.
has to be this." It just like to me, it just was like, because I love like concept albums. Like I'm really obsessed with concept albums, and like to me, 3 songs wasn't enough. 4 songs still wasn't enough, but I kind of really fell in love with that format
Yeah.
because it's just long enough. On like the modern day and age, like people are busy, so if you hit them with like a 15 to 20 minute EP, it's like that's already asking a lot of them. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, 3 is just it's like start, middle, end. It's like I don't know. You need that little extra space to like get weird.
Yeah, for sure. Um, So before we continue on with Four Quartets and talking with Jay Johnson about his new music, if anybody watching live with us has any questions, just throw them in the Twitch chat there, and I will do my best to field them and get them answered for you. I do my best, I promise. So, oh, I think we lost him. I heard the hiss go away. Okay, hold on a minute. Hide on stream. There he is. Okay.
Sorry.
It's funny because your other one is still on, so I had to like move your old. Yeah. So, but
Sorry
anyways,
about
no, you're good. You're good. So, anyways, anybody that has any questions for Jay about his music or any of that stuff, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll do my best to field those questions. So, moving forward with Four Quartets, this is your first, like, if just what I'm seeing is correct, this is your first full-length album that you've released as a solo artist?
Yeah, first serious one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you say your first serious one?
There was an album that I haven't really formally released, called Kairos, that I wrote back in like 2014, and briefly I put out some demos on YouTube and stuff, but they're super unpolished and just messes.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of in the back of my mind been like, man, once I'm good enough to play Kairos, I'll do it. But
Okay.
I don't know if I'm good enough yet.
Gotcha. So the intent is to go back and hopefully re-record those or something?
Yeah. And I ended up kind of like piecemealing some of the songs. One of the songs from there, My Ava, kind of became the biggest hit for my own band, the Pool Boys, and we played that for a while. And I still play that tune to this day because it's just kind of like a fun jam. But
Yeah.
But to that end, it's like I've never wanted to release it formally because it's like I know where it's supposed to sit in the album.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I got you. That's cool. So Four Quartets, when did you release the album? Because I know that's roughly when
July
you wanted
15th was when it
Okay.
went out.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been almost a couple of months then since we've been trying to originally book this podcast. Holy cow. I
yeah.
didn't realize that. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm in Roswell. This isn't going to fly. Oh, yeah. So,
No, it's
then-
this summer evaporated. I can't believe it's September already.
yeah.
It's been
And it-
busy, but man, it's flown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that was right around the time that I got COVID too. That was
Oh.
right around that time. So, yeah, it was insanity. I was like, yeah, but so Four Quartets is out and it's been out for almost 2 months at this point. What's kind of been the feedback over the last few months?
Honestly, really positive, which has been really, really nice. I put out a bunch of music with bands, and so I'm kind of used to that process. But like to do this felt like a little more personal. It felt like I was kind of wearing my heart in my sleeve a little more. And so to have people be like, "Oh, this is cool. I like this," has been just nice. And I'll always hear all the problems. I mean, it's not a perfect album by any stretch, nor is anything. But it's like it's just nice to have people be like, "Oh, I like this," and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cool."
Yeah.
This makes me happy. It's like, thank God, that's exactly what I wanted to do with this whole stupid thing.
For sure. And did you release any music videos for this album or?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of weird indie music videos and like camcorder stuff, but similarly, like I find that easier with bands. It's kind of weird to be just the. I think it just like anytime I've thought about it, I feel like I'm gonna. I don't know if you know R. Stevie Moore at all.
A little
But I
bit,
feel like
yeah.
I'm gonna be in that vibe where it's just like weird indie guy making videos of himself. Cassette. He's a great guy. I don't want to throw any flack, but he can pull off.
You never know. Yeah, you never know what's gonna pop off and become super popular. So
Yeah.
especially with the way TikTok and all these short form platforms are nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have the one song is "Lady of the Moon," and it's like a really relaxed kind of like folk, psychedelic folk song. And I was I really want to make crappy like Ed Wood style like horror B movie in black and white of like the Lady of the Moon from outer space. It's like this
Yeah,
giant that's blowing up the city and like just have this relaxed song while the giant monster from space is blowing everything up beautifully, of course, because she's from the
yeah,
moon. But yeah, yeah,
for sure.
we'll see.
That'd be cool. Especially, like, I'm always interested in watching and reacting to independent music videos because some people just go all out and it's amazing and it's perfect because they just had the right people in the right places at the right times. And then you have some people that go for the moon and it's not quite there, but they still release it because, yeah, we'll
That's
just kind of leave it there.
some people, some people are born hot and they can just, hang out at a pool and like sing. I wasn't born with that, so I have to make weird videos and have the Lady of the Moon blow up the city.
Hey, I'm down. I
You
dig it.
know, I got turned into a chicken in the one Pool Boys music video. That was fun.
A
If
chick.
you ever,
Oh,
yeah, Maeva, the song I mentioned, the Pool Boys released a video of that. I get turned into a chicken by a mad scientist who crashes in a UFO. It was at Halloween, and we were like,
yeah.
let's just put every Halloween movie together.
I will have to go find this song and music video because my boss is obsessed with chickens. She has a whole chicken TikTok channel. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
at the
a
time, my hair was shorter and like puffier. So my friends had. I was living out in Utah at the time, and my friends had chickens, and the one had like feathers that just
mm,
shot out, and it's like, oh, it's Jay the chicken. So
yeah,
I'm like, ah, perfect. I'll make that.
yeah. We're in
You know,
Utah.
St. George.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people that are out in St. George, so
Oh, cool.
that's yeah. Yeah, that's cool. We meant to go. So back in July of 2019. I don't know at what the time frame was you were out there, but
I lived there for a year in 2016.
okay, yeah. So in July 2019, we did a trip where we went up to Montana. Well, I was living in New Mexico at the time, and we did a trip up to Montana, and we stopped in Salt Lake City.
Oh no,
And on the way back, we were going to stop in St. George because one of the
for
music.
Zion.
No, one of a musician that used to come down to New Mexico a lot lived in St. George, and we wanted to do like a live acoustic set with him.
Oh,
And the
cool.
only way we could do it is if we went to St. George, because anytime he came to New Mexico, it was like, dude, I got like 4 hours and then I'm out.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of those deals. So, unfortunately, it didn't happen because the same day that we were supposed to get there, I was no, actually, I lived in Florida at the time, and I drove to New Mexico, and um, I had to get back to Florida because there was a hurricane coming, and if I didn't get through the Panhandle back to where I lived, I may not have been able to make it back home.
that's always a great feeling, right?
Yeah. So it was like my dad's calling me. He's like, "Hey, where you at?" And I'm like, "We're in Central Utah." He's like, "When are you coming back to Florida?" And I'm like, 2, 3 days. You need to head back to Florida now. And I'm like, "Okay, why?" Have you not been paying attention? I'm like, I've been in Montana. I have no cell signal. Like the fact that I'm talking to you right now is amazing." And he's like, "There's a pretty big hurricane. You need to be back in." I lived in Tallahassee. He's like, "You need to be back in Tallahassee by Thursday." And I'm like, "Okay, is that when it's supposed to hit land?" And he's like, "Yeah, Friday morning, but yeah." And so I'm driving through Mobile, Alabama, as this hurricane is like approaching land, and everybody's like, "Get off the roads," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm going. Like, I am not stopping. I'm getting across this bridge. Just get out of my way." And I made it. It was fine. But
Nice.
anyways,
I always
so
loved. My one friend had it's similar to that.
yeah,
Short anecdote. He had a friend that was moving from PA out to San Diego to be part of the Coast Guard or like somewhere.
hmm
But he was going through Kansas, and he's like
yeah,
driving, and he looks and it's like, oh man, the weather's getting kind of like a little sketchy. The sky's
Yeah.
getting dark. He looks to the right, and there's just like a tornado coming at him, and so he's just like bawling his eyes out, just being like, "This is not how I die," and just like floors it. It just
Yeah.
like I think about that story a lot, where it's like, oh man,
This is not how I'm going to go down. I'm
yeah,
going to die in a blaze of glory, not by a stupid tornado. Yeah, that's
yeah.
funny. Four Quartets is out now. It's on all streaming platforms, stuff of that nature. What's kind of the plans moving forward with your music? Obviously, you mentioned a couple times that you're in the studio with some other projects that you've been working with, but what's kind of the plan moving forward?
Yeah, so Mandy Valentine, who I mentioned, we're probably putting out a single. We've been recording over the course of the summer. We played a ton of shows over the summer, which was wonderful. But we mixed in some recording with that. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to like finish up some of that. Single will start with that, and then probably an EP album type thing coming up later in the year. My band 3 Yards to Dover, we just finished recording a 4-song EP. So first single from that will probably be out within the month or starting next month at this rate, because
Nice.
September's already flying.
Yeah, it's already almost halfway through September, so.
I don't even want to think about it. And then I've been writing like mad. So I've been working on my next 2 albums. I'm not going to do
Okay.
double albums this time. I'll probably do like 8 to 10 song albums, but I've been just kind of pursuing the old Rick Rubin method a little bit, where you write 2.5 albums worth of material for each, and then you chisel away. So that's kind of what I've been working on, and I'm actually going to get back into the studio next week to start that with a single that I just debuted at the show I just played on Sunday. But it was very well received.
Nice.
I believe in the song. It'll probably be a little more poppy, and like it's on the upbeats too, which is kind of rare for me. I've played in a reggae band before, but like I don't play like a ton of like the ska or the reggae like that. But this one will be that.
Nice.
And so that's coming up. We got a bunch more shows on the docket, and just keep going, keep letting the head spin, and not let it spin too fast.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta stay level headed. Like, I mean, especially when you're involved in so many different projects, it's like it could be very easy to get lost and just do this, spin the tires, and not really ever get anywhere.
It's hard to keep it all straight, but so far it's kind of working. So that's what I'm gonna keep trying to do.
Yeah.
Because
how do you keep it all still very much interesting? I know, as far as like creatively, are you more creatively involved in projects than other projects, or how do you kind of manage everything?
One big thing that helps is being able to, or being a multi-instrumentalist. Like different projects, I'll get to play different instruments, so that keeps it kind of fascinating. And like I could probably be better at any of the instruments if I just picked one, but I've always just been, since I was a little kid, I'm just fascinated in like stuff that makes sound or whatever. So it's like the ability to play different instruments in different genres keeps it just interesting enough. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like Mandy, I'll play bass and I'll make suggestions or whatever, and like I'll write my parts or whatever. But like
Yeah.
our songwriter Missy's quite good at writing songs, so it's like great. I'm happy to write, but you got it. My band 3 Yards to Dover, James Bischoff is the lead singer and guitar player. So he was a little more recent to guitar. He ended up, we've been friends since the 4th grade, but he picked up the guitar really in the last couple of years. But he has a wonderful voice. It's truly more emotive, and I'm biased as a friend, but it's a more powerful voice than many voices I've ever heard, to be honest, because it's subtle, but like he can really convey emotion well. So it's like for that, it's like, James, just write what you want and I'll arrange it. And so that's fun, because it's like for shows I'll sing harmonies and like play guitar, but like in the recordings, like in the studio, I just got to play piano and banjo and harmonica and ukulele and like
Mm.
just and they limited me. I wanted to add a lot more. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like just those opportunities, and then like with my own stuff, it's just because it's you get to. I feel like I played enough different instruments for long enough that it's like
Yeah.
I kind of understand the texture. Or like I'm very into texture,
Hmm.
so it's like I have an understanding of like, oh, if I want a nice warm sound, I'll go with the ukulele or I'll go with the bouzouki or like it's just like it's a fun challenge to be like, what
Mm.
can convey this mood or this feeling. And then other bands that just play guitar really loudly and jump around on stage.
Nice.
So
So there are some of the bands where you could just kind of sit back and they tell you, "Oh, hey, play this progression,"
yeah,
and
hey,
then
it's in G.
yeah,
Great.
cool.
Let's have fun.
So you can kind of just turn off any kind of creative input and just like let your raw natural talent just kind of shine. And
Yeah, yeah,
guys,
that's very fun.
yeah, it,
I'm blessed to be part of that.
yeah, because it's like I can only imagine if you had to be like 100% creatively like putting input into like 4 or 5 different bands, and it's just like, wait, did I use this idea for this project already? Yeah, so that would be intense. But
Yeah, for sure.
how's the show's been going over the last? Well, I mean, I guess I could say year since it's been about a year, but like just more recently this summer, how the show's been?
Yeah, I thought of the PanCan thing because the one I remember one of the questions was what is a venue you want to play this year?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was Johnny Grande's, and I actually
Yeah,
just played that 2 Sundays ago with Mandy.
nice, nice.
Um, and so yeah, that was really nice. But the shows they've been fantastic. Pretty much from like March till late July, I played out almost every day. And then since I've played a couple of really big shows and like it's been like just a little more relaxed because people were traveling and it was nice to just like kind of get a breath. Um, but the shows have been wonderful. I mean, they've been varied. The bills have been just fantastic.
Mm.
Where I thought this would be the case in the pandemic, and I'm happy to report I think it is the case. But people had an opportunity to like kind of hone their craft
Mm-hmm.
and sit with a lot of uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
And we've all been through a lot of collective trauma, which just breeds good art. So it's like I feel like really since like February, March, like as live music started to come back in this area, it's just like
Mm.
everyone is just there's great stuff coming out from so many people. So played a lot of venues. We played some wonderful basement shows. We played some outdoor shows. We played big venues in Philly, and like I play every Tuesday with this jam session and Trend. That's wonderful, and like it's just there's just so much good music going on right now that it's making up for the last 2 years a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with 5 bands, you're getting 5 times the joy.
Yeah, well, 5 times of something.
5 times the headaches. I don't know.
5 times of the everything.
But that's cool. I'm glad things are going well. Are you doing festivals as well, or is it all just like more traditional shows?
More traditional shows. I mean, some interesting, like kind of bizarre shows, but
Mm.
I've been starting to look into some festivals, but I feel like that'd be more next spring. Um, actually, I think I have a couple of festivals or more like regional festivals that I'm really considering for Mandy. Um, but my stuff or like some of the other bands too could be pretty cool for that too. So um,
Nice.
yeah.
And and you're pretty much just playing around the Philly area, or are you getting out and going outside of Pennsylvania at all?
Yeah, so far the since music's come out, like mainly Philly area, but I play around New Jersey a fair bit, and mainly in Trenton, but I've played in Audubon and like just a bunch of different spots.
Hmm.
Last year I played a show in New York, And so I've been thinking about that. I had some offers, but it's the type of thing where it's like, if I'm gonna play a show in New York, I want to make sure that it can be like kind of an event, because it's
Mm.
expensive to get to New York,
Yeah.
especially with the 5 piece.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to make sure that everyone at least has their tolls covered.
Yeah. 5 p. Like, I've never been to New York, but I hear stories that the tolls are a bit intense.
Probably at least $50 to $60 to get there and back to like Brooklyn or a lot of those spots.
Oh well.
When you factor in gas too, I guess. But it's pricey.
Yeah, I imagine. So, but yeah, I don't want to keep you around too much longer. Outside of music, what have you been up to? What's kind of keeping you balanced outside of the musical world?
Outside of the musical world, been trying to get out into nature as much as possible. Got a really nice camping trip in and some kayaking over the summer. Only made it to the beach once this year, which is kind of a bummer, but
Yeah.
I'll try to. The East Coast, September is probably like the best time down the shore, because it's just
Yeah.
so, the water's so warm and all the
Mm.
kids are back in school, so it's fun.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just I've been doing like a lot of photography and stuff like that to kind of support the music, but looking into some other options as well. And yeah, just really that the music has been kind of dominating my life to
Nice.
a wonderful and also sometimes sad extent, where it's like, oh man, I
Yeah.
have to put other things on hold sometimes.
Hey,
Um,
that's not the worst thing. That's what everybody sets out for, is to make music their career, right?
well,
Or
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, that's true.
so.
Well, you know,
I mean, unfortunately, you have to have 5 bands to do it, but I'm sure there's a situation where you hope that there could be like a one band, like this is what I got to focus on. But
mhm.
you know,
Well, that's
um,
the second album. I'm telling you what.
yeah, nice. So for these other, real quick before we kind of wrap this up, for the other
Mhm.
bands, we might have talked about this, but like, what's the style differences? Is there like, is one band like a reggae band or what?
Not at the moment.
Okay,
I played with the reggae band briefly a
yeah,
bit ago, but so far, well, I guess I should list them. My
yeah,
bands are Mandy Valentine is the country western band. That's a
okay,
5 piece. And Three Yards to Dover is my like friends band. We're kind of like indie folk rock, but
okay,
just just a band where everyone's been friends for a while, and it's got that vibe.
yeah,
Um, that is a 4 piece. My solo group is a 5 piece, and
mm-hmm,
it's all that kind of stuff that's out there.
yeah,
And then I've been playing the band called Over the Counter, which is somewhere between a 4 to an 8 piece.
mm-hmm,
And that I'm more of like a supplemental role, but
mm-hmm.
some of those guys play in my solo group as well. And then the other band is kind of like an alternate version of my solo group slash the remainder of the Pool Boys, and that's like
Awesome,
psychedelic rock 4 piece type stuff.
awesome. And I'm not going to ask you what band you prefer playing with because that would just be cruel. But
Yeah.
off your album Four Quartets, what's your favorite song to perform live?
Ooh, favorite to perform live. I've really been enjoying Stuck. Because that just moves a lot. That song. I don't know if you're a James Joyce fan at all, but it's all based on his short story
Mm,
collection, Dubliners.
mm-hmm.
Um, and there's like a lot of like the chorus is, I guess you could say, I'm paralyzed in dismay, and that's
Yeah,
kind of a state that I unfortunately will get into sometimes when I'm overwhelmed by stuff, where it's just like I can't do anything. But all the lyrics and all that was inspired by especially the Dead, the last thing. But it's just
mm-hmm.
like a driving Celtic tune, and I always like, especially being like a Kinks fan or like a Beatles fan, it's like I love songs that sound happy, but they're like super depressing lyrics, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, like of the album, Love Song probably is my personal favorite, but that is a monster that I don't know how to do it live yet, because
Gotcha.
a lot of parts in that.
Yeah, I feel it. So if anybody wants to check out your music or interact with you on socials or
Mhm.
catch any shows, where's the best place to get that information?
I'm on Instagram at JAYKP Johnson. Spotify, if you listen to that, a follow would be great. But I'm on all the streaming services and Bandcamp. If you're like me, you don't really have Spotify because they're just not good. So yeah, Bandcamp I love. I'm on YouTube a
Yes.
little tiny bit, but I do have a Facebook music page, but I'm not paying to promote there, so they don't show my stuff to anyone, so I just don't promote there.
It's funny you
So
brought that up because that's why I tagged your personal page. I could not
yeah,
find your music page. I mean,
they don't. Well, you might have noticed it. I mean, like maybe 10 years ago, they just
yeah.
it's like they incentivize people, kind of like TikTok now, which
Hmm.
I don't have a TikTok, but it's like they get you hooked or whatever. So you bring people to the platform by
Hmm.
spreading your content, and then they like close it off. So
Yep.
Facebook, it's just like as soon as they know that they can milk you for money, it's like they're not going to show people your stuff.
Yep. That is.
Of a one-off political comment on a news article, God forbid, like every single person on that I've ever met will see it. But it's like I
Yeah.
have a song to share.
Yeah. It's. It was interesting because like during the pandemic, I used to post on Facebook saying like, "Yo, we want to help spread your music. Drop your the links to your new music, whatever." And we'd get three, four, sometimes 500 people just kind of like, "Hey, here, cool."
Mhm.
And I just did it recently, and we got 30 people.
Yeah, it's
It's
insane.
yeah, it's like, and I don't even push it that hard. It's like I don't know, whatever. So
But they're just as shit anymore. They know if they can milk you for any money, it's like, well, pay us and we'll show it to you. But it's like, no, I'm
yeah,
not doing that.
yeah,
It's
it's
all be okay.
yeah. I mean, I've paid Facebook a little bit before, but it never really ends up going anywhere. So you know,
Yeah,
it is
it
what it
might be
is.
a dying platform. I don't know.
Nah, it's an evolving platform. It's
Yeah,
evolving.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
Time of precipitous change. Actually, I have to raise my water glass also to the UK, to Queen Elizabeth. Terribly sorry,
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
But
I
it's
was working today. I work for a TV station, and I remember that came across that they were gathering the royal family, and I'm like, oh no, what's about to happen here?
yeah.
And it's yeah. Luckily,
I
it
just
didn't didn't completely decimate our day
yeah.
as far as like what we were trying to get accomplished. But yeah,
It's just one of those things. Like Gorbachev dying as well. It just feels like all these titans of the last century. All
mm-hmm.
these major figures are all of a sudden going out. And I had a kind of blue humor thought where it's like, man, if there are still people in like 30 years, like I feel bad for the kids who have to study history and pass the 2020s test, where it's like, how do you
yeah,
keep all this straight? There's been
yeah,
so it's like the longest Queen of England dies, and which died first, Gorbachev? you know,
yeah. It's gonna be it'll be an interesting like chapter of like, hey, keep all this straight in U.S. history. So,
yeah, right.
but
But, but here
yeah,
we are,
yeah,
living
we're
through it.
yep. But really appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast chatting with you. Hopefully, we'll have you back on here in the future, and we'll just kind of keep things pushing. So, really appreciate you, Jay. Hopefully, one of these years we'll get up to Philadelphia. We still need to get to Boston, so maybe Philadelphia is on the same trip, but who knows?
I might be a
Um,
Philly boy, but I'm a born and raised Red Sox fan. So Boston will always have a special place in my heart.
nice, yeah. It's that's where my sound engineer's from, and he keeps telling me, "Oh, we got to go to Boston," and I'm like, "Okay, when do we go?" Because it's
In
gonna
the
be a
summer.
trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Don't go in the winter.
don't go in the
But yeah.
winter, but don't go in July either because it's insanely hot. And then it's like, okay, so May? I don't know.
Yeah, probably May. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of like
but
St. George.
yeah,
But yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on here, Tom. It was great to be back. Hopefully I can
yeah,
get on the Pan Can fundraiser this year because I definitely
Yep.
believe in that cause too.
Yep, we're doing it again. We're kind of building out the we're reaching out to certain people we want to make sure that are on, and we're just trying to kind of make the schedule, and we're getting there. It's a bit of a process, but I think you're on my list. Did I have I talked to you about it yet, or
Maybe a couple of weeks ago. I
okay?
remember.
Because
So,
I know you're on the list of people I need to talk to, but I don't remember if I actually have talked to you yet. So,
gotcha.
but yeah, we're working it all out, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're not gonna do 3 days. I'm not gonna die this time, and I just remember, like, I don't want to extend this out much more, but I just remember doing day 2, and my sinuses were so bad that in between, like, the 5 minutes that I scheduled to, like, get up to go to the bathroom in between each podcast, I was like face down sleeping and just hoping that I wouldn't hear that little ding ding because somebody had joined the chat, and I could sleep for an extra 20 minutes. Like, it was the only day that I was just hoping people didn't show up. So,
Good
but
cause. Like,
yeah,
good on you, and thanks for doing that. But yeah, that's rough.
yeah, it's so this year it'll be different. We'll make it work, and it's gonna be great. And I'll reach out to you over the weekend about getting it set up, but we'll get it right. But anyways, a little inside baseball for all the listeners out there. I really appreciate y'all for sticking around and hanging out with us. Jay Johnson, once again, it's been a blast chatting with you, and we'll have you back on here in November for the Pan Can fundraiser. But yeah, other than that, we will see you all. Hopefully, I can get a Sunday podcast booked. I'm still having a little bit of trouble with this Sunday, but we'll get it right. And other than that, we will see you all on Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.